What is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another 7 Nights video. And today we're taking a look at Dellons, or Death Castle, one of the harder castles for the week. So this boss, you will have to bring a physical damage dealer because he has magic resistance. So you're going to want to bring either Feng Yan if you're free to play and don't have any of the other legendary characters yet, Taka, Kyle, or Bdam. So you have 4 choices here. I know it lists Rachel, but she's more of a support. I don't know why she's listed as a damage dealer. So Feng Yan, Bdam, Taka, or Kyle will be your main damage dealer in the back. Now, for your next character, you will want to bring Jin. You need a silence immunity because Dellons has this silence. You can bring Cleo if you don't want to score high and you want to grief your guild, but Jin is just way better because Cleo does 0 damage because they have magic resistance, and Jin actually does a significant amount of damage here. Yeah, Cleo is really bad. And then you're going to want to bring a healer and Biscuit. So Lena and Biscuit are like the 3 and 4 spot. They're the best options. If you guys don't have Biscuit, you can just bring another damage dealer. It is fine. But Biscuit will buff your damage dealer and your Jin and make them do a ton of damage. Now for the last swap, this is where it gets a little interesting. So you can run Lee as they state, or you can run Rachel. And most people actually opt for Rachel if they want to score high. The reason why is because Rachel provides a weakness hit chance buff. She also does okay damage with her burn, and she has a defense down and physical vulnerability that makes her team do a lot more damage. And I think a lot of newer players actually use Rachel because she's already free to play, she's already built on your account, and she's very good. So they'll usually run a team looking like this, with Kyle being flexed out for like Feng Yan or like Taka or whatever. But what I recommend is if you are struggling to score high, and what I mean by scoring high is like you're kind of like bottom in your guild for Castle Rush and you don't want to be at the bottom, I recommend using Lee. So Lee is also recommended in the what's it called, the battle log, or I guess the battle guide. The reason why is because if you taunt the boss is going to actually hit him with the silence and one-shot reset. So it makes it so that your team won't die, whereas if you're running Rachel, there's a lot more RNG and you have to build your team a lot more tankier. You also need a lot of dupes to survive, so running Lee is honestly just the safest option. So in terms of how you want to queue your skills, it really depends. If your Jin is strong enough to one-shot the first and second wave, you can have him use both skills so that he can, kill them, and then your main DPS has their abilities up. But you're going to see that mine is pretty strong. He will be able to do it. So I can do it, but if I wasn't able to do it, what I do is just use my Kyle to basically, do damage to the first and second wave. And then for your supports, you're just running a standard tanky setup. You can see my Lee's on really weird gear. Doesn't really matter, he's not going to die. But you just want to make sure your team is on a pretty tanky setup here. If you are running Rachel, you might want to run Jin on a tankier setup because he can end up dying very easily. But for the most part, it's going to be pretty simple. And yeah, you're just going to want to make sure you use Lee's taunt right before the boss uses his skills. So yeah, I'll just show you guys the run now and you can see how it pans out. And basically my Jin should be able to one-shot the first and second wave. If he misses his crit randomly, it's not a big deal. I can just auto it down with basic attacks with some of my other characters. So here he goes again. We do kill, oh, actually no we don't, but now we do kill, which is perfect. And now I'm going to start off with a Lee taunt so that he doesn't kill something off the bat. As you can see, we put up the taunt here. And now what we're going to do is put up our buffs. So Dellons should do his silence here, and then he'll do his one-shot ability, which is the scary part of the fight. So here we go, weakness hit chance boost. I will then use my Lena, buff here, and then I'm going to use my first ability on Kyle. So you can see, he goes into Lee, and my Lee takes 0 damage. Usually that one-shots someone, and when that kills something, it uses it, or he uses it again, and then randomly 2 of your units are dead. So that's why Lee is really, really good at making the run for this castle super safe and stable, and why I actually recommend him. So you can see now we're going to do some big damage with our Kyle here. This doesn't get reduced in this tower because it's 4 hits, which is great. And I do recommend using Kyle because, especially if you're newer to the game, because you'll already have him built, right? That way you don't have to waste resources into like Taka, B dam and stuff like that early game and kind of stunt your progress. So what I'm gonna do here is taunt again because Dellons' skills is coming up, as you can see. Then I'll be able to damage with my Jhin here. So there's the first hit, that's the silence, that's why we have Jhin. And then Dellons will use his single target attack right after and kill nothing. So here he goes. Goes into Lee once again and does 0 damage. Very balanced character. So you can see my Jhin is doing okay damage. Not the best, but not the worst. He's mostly here for the silence immunity, but the thing is, if I had Cleo here, she'd be doing literally 0 damage. So that's why Jhin is very good in a lot of the castle rushes where you need silence. Actually, if you need silence immunity anywhere, Jhin is like the only one you can bring because Cleo's just bad. She is hot garbage, so we're gonna buff again with Biscuit, and then I'm gonna buff with Lina. And then, you know, you can kind of queue your skills. It's very, very easy. Actually, what I have to do here is taunt. I almost messed up. You can see Dellons' skills are coming up, so you want to make sure your taunt is up. Yeah, I almost just died there, so that would have been pretty bad. So Lina will buff now because we're safe, and we're gonna start doing more damage to the boss. I think this can probably score easily 1 mil. Even without Biscuit T6, I think with Lee you can score easily above 1 mil. There goes Kyle. Can do more damage here. Okay, and then I'll queue my Jhin skills to go after to do more damage, and then I'll probably have to do the taunt after. I might have to do it even between Jhin skills here. We'll have to see. I think I'll do it regardless because I don't think I'm getting another skill from Kyle off that'll do damage, so might as well just play it safe. We'll do this. And I will be able to get both these skills off here. There we go, and we basically got our full damage rotation off after Jhin uses his skill, of course. And I do believe we'll get an... Oh, my Kyle did die. Yeah, you can kind of see the damage is kind of crazy. There's one. And... yes, this is the end. I guess we'll use Biscuit's ability just for some extra points at the end. 1k extra, let's go. But that is pretty much the run. You can see it's pretty safe. My Kyle did actually die at the end, which was pretty scary. But I know my gear isn't that optimized for it. I'm pretty sure there's other people that use Lee that scored higher. Yeah, we have one here at 1.4 mil. So you can definitely score higher. I think I probably just did some rotations wrong. But in general, this is the strategy that you want to do. You can see last castle, I actually did even higher. So, you know, there's a lot of RNG still in this castle and for every castle rush. But hopefully this video helped you guys out, and I'll see you guys next time.